What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Welcome back to the vlog. We are here in Austin, Texas, buying in for $3,000 at the 510 live stream game at Texas Card House. This game is big. There's a ton of money on the table. First hand, we're going to go over here. There's a $20 straddle under the gun. There's a raise to $80, and we look down at pocket kings. Picking up a premium already. Hand number 4, I re-raise here to $250. The adrenaline starts pumping. My heart rate starts increasing. It folds all the way back around to the initial raiser who makes the call. Heads up to our first flop here in Austin, Texas, which is 6-6-4, 2 hearts. A great board for me, holding pocket kings and a 3-bet pot. I put out a $250 bet, really trying to get him to call with all of his pocket pairs or potential flush draws, but unfortunately he just has ace high. He completely missed this board. He ends up letting his hand go. We do take down our first pot here at Texas Card House on a Monday night. Playing on a live stream can be pretty stressful. I obviously don't want to make any big mistakes while a bunch of people are watching, so it is nice to take down the first pot to calm the nerves a little bit. In the next hand, there's a $50 straddle on. Under the gun, there's a limp for $50. I look down at pocket tens and bump it up here to $250. This game is playing huge. I get a call from the under the gun straddler, and the under the gun +2 limper makes the call as well. So 3 ways to a board of 5, 6, 9, 2 spades. We flop an overpair. My opponents check to me, and I decide to check this one back. On a low connecting board like this, it's going to smash my opponent's calling ranges with some sets, 2 pairs, and straights. And given the fact that I just have 1 pair and not even a spade in my hand, I check back for some deception and pot control. The turn is the jack of spades, bringing an overcard to our pair. When my opponents check it over to me again, I feel like I 100% have the best hand here. I would expect my opponents to be leading out with sets, 2 pairs, straights, and flushes on the turn, so I put out a smaller protection bet here, just trying to take down the pot with my pocket tens. I make it $325, and it does the trick. They both fold, and we take down this pot. The run good continues in this session when we look down at another premium pocket queens, this time at under the gun +1. I make it $40. There's no straddle on this hand, so I decide to make it 4x the big blind. Given the fact that we are very deep, I end up getting 2 callers and see a flop of king high. I bet $50, and both of my opponents let their hands go. After getting crushed just a couple days ago at Rounders Card Club, losing almost $3,000, it is nice to start winning some hands up early here. $700, moving on to the next one. No straddle in this hand. There's a raise to $40 from early position, a call. I look down at 8-6 of hearts on the button and put some chips in there. We get a call from the big blind as well, so 4 ways to a board of 8-8-4, 2 clubs, flopping trips. Unfortunately, the action checks over to me, and this is a board I definitely want to be betting here, and I decide to bet pretty big, $125, really trying to charge flush draws, straight draws, maybe a 4x, pocket 5s or 7s, but unfortunately nobody has anything, and they fold, which is kind of a trend of what's going on so far. I've been making some hands, but not really getting paid off. In this hand, I'm going to let you guys sweat the action with me and blur out my opponent's hands. I have ace, king of diamonds. There's a straddle pot for $25. I open it up here to $75, folds all the way back around to the initial under the gun straddler who puts in a 3-bet. He re-raises here to $225. I don't have any history with the player under the gun. His name is JC. I do know that he does play on this show pretty regularly, so I make it $75. It folds to him, and he puts in a 3-bet to only 3x out of position. This is going to be very, very strong a lot of the time. He doesn't have much incentive to put in a 3-bet here because there's no dead money for him to squeeze out. He will also be playing out of position the entire hand, so I don't expect him to show up here with a lot of mediocre holdings. I feel like he's going to have a pretty strong range of pocket tens plus ace queen and ace king, so against that range, I think a call is fine, so I put in the chips and we're going heads up to the flop. 5, 4, 3 with 1 diamond. Even though we didn't hit our ace or a king, this is a pretty good board for us. We have a ton of equity. We have 2 overcards to the board. We have a gut shot straight draw and a backdoor flush draw. JC continues to bet here for $300. I feel like I have a pretty standard call. I don't want to be raising, and there's no way I can be folding a hand as strong as mine. If JC does have a pocket pair, we have a ton of outs and could potentially bluff on later streets. Heads up to the turn, which is the king of clubs, giving us top pair, top kicker. This is the best card in the deck. Obviously, it improves us to top pair, but this is a great card for him to continue to bluff on if he has a hand like ace queen or ace jack. If we turn the tables and play the hand from JC's perspective, he put in a 3-bet and I just made the call, so he doesn't expect me to have a hand as strong as ace king. If he does have a bluffing hand like ace queen or ace jack, this is a great card to continue to bluff on. I shouldn't have many top pairs in this scenario. I'm most likely going to have a lot of pocket pairs like 8s through 10s, So he continues to bet for $650. With all that being said earlier, I think the best play here is just make the call. It is possible that he could have a hand like pocket aces. However, that's less likely because I have an ace in his hand. I feel like he's most likely bluffing here, so I make the decision that I'm going to call $650 here, and I'm going to call all rivers that don't include a club, a queen, or a jack. A very sizable pot is brewing here, $2,400 in the middle. Going to the last card, which is the 7 of diamonds, obviously brings a one-liner straight to a 6, but given the action pre-flop, I don't expect him to have any 6s in his range. He thinks for a while and decides to go all in. Given the action pre-flop, my hand is way too strong to fold. I make the call.
Queen. Ace queen is going to be JC's strongest bluff.
Right. But it just seems like a really gross spot for Alexo, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're just getting belted.
gonna lose.
Yeah. It's one of those spots where you see the king on the turn and you're like, got him. Like,
right.
What a nasty hand. We end up losing a $7,200 pot. Ace king versus pocket aces on a king high board. I feel like there's not much I can do here against that particular player. I feel like I'm just going to lose my money. I end up rebuying for another $3,000, trying to keep my head in the game. It's always a terrible sight to see all of your chips get slid over to the other side of the table. I don't get stacked very often, normally because I either have my opponents covered or somehow I find my way out of getting my entire stack in there without the best hand. But unfortunately this time, we end up getting stacked, losing over $3,500 in a single hand. I actually took a break right after this hand for about 10 minutes, went outside just to try to cool down. I could feel the tilt coming on very, very quickly. I lost money in San Antonio. I lost money my first night here in Austin, and now I was up $500 in the session, and I got stacked for a $3,500 loss. I could tell I'm definitely not being able to play my best, so I take about a 10-minute break before coming back in. Sitting back down at the table now after my break, I'm feeling a little bit more composed, but obviously not too happy with the way the session has been going. JC now raises up to $100 over a limp. We are in the small blind with my least favorite hand, Ace King offsuit. I decide to 3-bet to $400 with a $3,000 starting stack, and he makes to fold this time. We do take down this pot. In this next hand, the action folds all the way to me, and I have Ace King again. This seems like a trend on this video so far. We're on the button, raised to $80. I get a call from the big blind and a call from the straddle. So we go 3 ways to a king high flop, flopping top pair, top kicker. I put out a smaller c-bet here, and only the big blind makes the call. Heads up now to the turn of 5 of spades. Looks like a pretty good card for me to continue to bet on. The big blind checks over to me. I slide out a bet of $325, and the big blind does not believe me just yet. He makes the call. The river card is the ace of hearts, giving me top 2 pair. Even though this card does improve our hand, it's now going to be harder for me to get value from all of his one pair hands like King 9, King 10, or King Queen. Also, if he has Queen 10 for an open-ended straight draw, which he would call on the flop and then maybe call again on the turn, he now improved to a straight. So when he checks over to me, I feel like this is a good spot to go for thin value and bet small. I settle on a bet of $400, but my opponent is done with the hand. He makes the fold, but we do take down our second pot, making a little bit of a comeback so far. No straddle on in this hand. I make it $40 with pocket 4s. We get a call from the cutoff, Josh, and then JC makes the call in the big blind. 3 ways to queen, jack, 4, 2 clubs, flopping a set. JC checks over to me, and I decide to check. It might seem like a pretty bad play here to check bottom set, and I can agree with you, but I have a read on Josh that he's a pretty aggressive player when check 2. I feel like he's going to be putting out a bet a lot on this board. He should be connecting with some flush draws, some straight draws, and one pair hands, so I'm hoping that he will bet. Possibly JC calls, and then I can spring the trap and put in a big check raise. However, unfortunately, that doesn't happen. Josh decides to check back. The turn card is the 8 of clubs, one of the worst cards in the deck. The club flush gets there, and 9-10 for a straight also beats us. JC now leads out for $100, and I go back and forth whether I want to raise now or just call. And given the fact that I don't think Josh has much of anything behind me, I decide to just make the call here for $100. But Josh, to my surprise, puts in a raise to $300. The graphics are actually incorrect. Big Daddy Chaz is not in the hand. It's me, Josh, and JC. The graphics do correct themselves here, and you can see Josh has King 3 of clubs for a turned flush. The action is now on JC, and while JC is tanking, I think to myself, there's no way I'm ever folding a set here to Josh. However, JC puts in a back re-raise, a 3-bet on the turn to $1,100.
Oh, and JC comes in for the raise. Wow, and Lexo can get away from this now, which is so gross, right?
Oh my good
And just
lord.
not a good spot. And now
My face says it all. This session has been pretty comical about how bad I'm running. I flop a set and Josh turns a flush. Josh ends up calling $1,000. The river is a break and JC puts him all in and Josh makes the call with the second nuts and ends up doubling up. So as you guys can see, JC does have some moves in him, which makes me feel a little bit better about calling him down for my whole stack with Ace King earlier. Interesting hand up next. I have pocket queens on the button. I raised to $80 over a straddle, and now a pretty solid player in the small blind, Pierre, puts in a 3-bet to $350. His strategy seems to be 3-bet or fold. He doesn't seem to be calling very often. The big blind folds, and now the action is back over on Chaz in the straddle, who thinks for a little bit of time and puts in another raise, a 4-bet, a cold 4-bet to $1,100. Facing a 4-bet of $1,100 with pocket queens on the button, we have a little over $3,000 left in our stack, and I actually don't know what to do here. I don't have any history with these players. I have no idea what kind of hands they're playing. All I know is that the first 3 hours of the session, they really haven't gotten out of line. I haven't seen any bluffs, so I'm not really sure what kind of hands that Chaz is 4-betting here, but I can imagine that it's most likely pocket jacks, queens, kings, aces, ace king, and ace queen. A lot of my playing hours are down in Florida, and if someone puts in a cold 4-bet to over $1,000, they usually have aces, kings, and ace king. Obviously, this isn't Florida, this is Texas, and this is Chaz, who I don't really know much about. He'd been playing pretty snug all session. I feel like against that range, I'm flipping or I'm crushed. I'm only in the pot for $80. And I also have to get through Pierre as well, so I make an extremely tight fold here. We look like a complete idiot when Chaz has pocket tens. Obviously, if he had aces or kings here, we would look like a genius, but this time we make a terrible fold. And after this hand, I actually was thinking to myself that I wasn't really playing my A game. I felt like I was making a ton of mistakes. I was outclassed by the players. They had way more money than me, and I just didn't feel like I was playing good poker. I had to think to myself, should I even be in this game? These players are extremely tough. There's a ton of money on the table. This is much different than some of the Florida games I've played, even some of the Vegas games I've played as well. The stakes are huge. The stacks are massive. And there's a ton of players that I feel like are better than me, but there's only 30 minutes left in the stream, so I do want to stick it out. Maybe I can get lucky and win a big pot. All right, let's play better poker here. There's a $25 straddle, a call. I raise it up to $125 with ace queen in the hijack. Pierre calls in the cutoff, and then Chaz makes a call in the small blind, so we know he doesn't have pocket tens. Tommy makes the call as well, so we're 4 ways to the flop. 10, 3, deuce, rainbow, we completely miss. However, on this board, I should have the range advantage of having all the overpairs, and given the fact that nobody 3-bet me pre-flop, I feel like I can get my opponents off some middling pocket pairs here. If they do have a 10, I could continue to bluff on any scare card on the turn, so I start with a bet of $300. Pierre folds. Now Chaz in the small blind makes the call, and Tommy makes the fold, so we're heads up to the turn. Queen of clubs on the turn giving me top pair, top kicker. I'm actually a little concerned that Chaz could have a set. He called $125 in the small blind, which is going to mean he should have a lot of pocket pairs. If he has 8s, 9s, or 7s, he's not going to call a bet. So it's actually hard for me to get called by a worse hand if I bet here. So I decide to check back for pot control and deception, going to the river, which is another queen. We make trips with an ace kicker. That is what I'm talking about. Let's get some of our money back, except today is not our day. We're getting massively coolered, a set versus trips. We literally went runner, runner, queen, queen against a set. It can't get any more ridiculous than that. Chaz does decide to bet, and he bets pretty big, $700. I just make the snap call, and he shows us the bad news. Pocket threes for a full house. Our queen is no good.
Yeah, he's just going to call. Yeah, Lexo is...
I think this is just a little too, like, like...
No, but he's been up against it. He feels like he's up against it.
Yeah.
The emotions are getting to him.
Yeah,
and the cards are honestly playing out. Aside from the last hand, they're playing out, and he's going to rack up.
He's going to call it a night.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very mature thing to do.
Yeah,
from
it's
him.
very
Because
understandable.
I think he recognizes that, like, hey, I'm not playing my best right now. And this is something that I think a lot of people could learn a lesson from. It's just like, when it's not your night, it's not your night. All right, we are in the car now. If you guys don't want to hear me whine about my poker, then click out of the video now. It's probably going to be a long rant, but this may be, like, right now, 10 o'clock on a Monday in Austin, Texas, maybe like the lowest point of my poker career, I don't know if I've ever felt like this discouraged and this beaten up and the confidence level so low before than where I'm at now. Like, I feel like I've just been getting crushed. Like, I had a rough 6 weeks in Dallas. You guys saw me lose some massive pots. I lost like a 6K bomb pot. I lost an 8K pot against a crazy action player. I lost a $10,000 pot getting cooler trip jacks versus pocket fours full house. I ended up losing $3,000 total after 6 weeks in Dallas, which really isn't much, but I need to make money to live. I'm spending money every single day, rent, car, food, all that stuff. So $3,000 isn't that much in 6 weeks, but for 6 weeks, I didn't make any money. I actually lost money. So that is kind of just discouraging. And then I go to San Antonio this weekend, played on the live stream Friday, and just got absolutely trashed. Like my last video I just put out, like I just got crushed. Like people turning sets on me, people coolering me back to back, like flopping a set of queens in a 4-bet pot versus my kings. The guy folds jacks on a 4 high board, and I have queens. Like I should be winning a massive pot there, and he just folds on the flop. Like it's just incredible. Like the run I had in San Antonio was really bad. I came up here to Austin and played a session on a Saturday night, lost $2,500. I lost a massive pot where my opponent bluffed all in on the river, and I folded. And if I would have made that call, I would have won like a 12K pot. But I wasn't really in the right mindset. I just was like running bad, and I didn't want to compound on it, so I made a really big hero fold. And it turned out to be a pretty terrible fold given my hand strength. But I lost $2,500 Saturday night, came in today after taking a day off on Sunday. I went golfing today, I worked out, I relaxed, played with my dog, and I felt really confident that the session was going to go well and that my mindset was better. And I started off the session really well. I was hitting kings and queens and tens, and I was up like $600 or $700 or $800. And then I just got massively coolered. Ace, king of diamonds versus aces, and a king hits the turn. Like, I'm at the top of my range. He's at the top of his range. He's the only player at the table that I've seen that has potential to get out of line and bluff so far at the game. So obviously I just have to call him there with ace king. I can never be folding top pair, top kicker in a 3-bet pot on that board against that player. So I just have to lose $3,000 there. I took a 10-15 minute break after that hand because it's just instant tilt. Like when you've already been on tilt in the past and then something happens, boom, it just comes back. And that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like I wasn't able to play my best. So I took a 15-minute break, came back in, flopped a set of 4s, lost to a flush. I then had pocket queens on the button, raised small blind 3-bet. Chaz put in a 4-bet to $1,100, and I folded queens. And that is just a prime example of when you're not playing your best and your confidence level is down and things are not going well and you don't want to compound on your mistakes, that I made a pretty bad fold given the fact that it's button versus small blind versus big blind. Against those players, I should just be 5-bet shoving all day. I guess you could argue that I'm only in the pot for $80 and I'm most likely flipping against Chaz's range. And I also have to get by the small blind who could potentially have ace king or aces or kings too. So it's a nitty fold. It's most likely a shove, but I don't hate the fold, but I could tell after that hand I was not playing my best. And then boom, 2 hands later, ace queen, 10-3 deuce board, I c-bet, Chaz calls. I'm pretty sure he has a set, or maybe like ace 10 suited, possibly jack 10 suited, turns a queen. So I check back for pot control, letting him potentially bluff on the river. River's a queen. I make trips with an ace kicker. I know he's going to bet here, so I'm just going to snap call. If he's bluffing, he's not going to call my raise, and I just felt like he had a set. So he bets 700, I snap call, he has a set of 3s. Like, I literally go runner, lose. Like, I don't know. Like, that hand took me over the top, and I couldn't play well anymore, so I immediately racked my chips up and left. Like, that's it for me. I'm not going to play in those kind of scenarios. And also, the game was, like, extremely tough. Like, there was no soft spots. There was a couple nits, a couple really tough players, and a bunch of money on the table that I felt like I was definitely not one of the best players. Like, there was a lot of players who were better than me and had more experience and that had a lot more money than me, and it was just not a good game for me to be in. So at least I'm happy for myself that I got up and left the game whenever I knew that it was not a good game for me and I was not in the right mindset. But I am like I am on fucking monster life tilt right now. Like, I lost $3,700, I think, in this session. So now I'm on like another huge 10K downswing in the last 3 days, 3 sessions. And it's just like massive coolers, like sets versus 2 pairs, trips versus boats, ace king versus aces, queens versus kings, set, like, boom, I can't even think all of them. It's just crazy. Like, but this is what it's like to be a poker player. I mean, this is what not many people see. Like, not many people see sitting in your car after losing 3.7K on a Monday night and being like, what the fuck just happened? Like, am I going to win at this game anymore? Like, this is my job. I don't have a job to go to tomorrow that I can make that money back. Like, this is it. I got to make money this way. I know I can do it. I've done it in the past, but like, I worry, like, am I ever going to fucking make money again? Am I just going to get coolered every fucking day? And it really messes with your mindset. So I'm not sure. Like, I may drop back down and just play some 2-5 while I'm here in Austin and try to get my confidence back. I'm scheduled to play a big 5-10 live stream on Saturday, and I don't know if I can play my 100% A game after losing $10,000 in the past couple of days. I don't know if I can do it, so I might have to cancel that, unfortunately. But I have to be able to play correctly if I'm playing with my own money, and I don't know if I can do that. So that's why I left tonight early. Obviously no bad blood with all the players at the table. They were all great, super fun to play with them. Texas Card House is obviously amazing. They treat me very well there, and I had fun playing on the live stream other than just getting massively fucking coolered. But the one good thing is that I have all of you guys to rant to. Like, I'm fucking by myself in my car right now, but I feel better knowing that I can put this out on YouTube and I have a fan base that's behind me. Like, I have a fan base. I have you guys out there watching my videos that are going to comment and hopefully give me more confidence to go play again and feel better. Like, if I didn't have this YouTube channel, like, I don't know what I would do right now. Like, I would just feel really low, but I actually feel better knowing that I'm creating content for people to watch and for people to see what poker is like, and that I have these people that are on my side. Like, I know I don't know all of you guys that are watching my videos, but like, I feel like you guys are in my corner, you're rooting for me, and you're on my side, which definitely gives me confidence to come back and try to play better and hopefully win some money. But I'm not really mad. I feel like I played good poker. I just ran bad, which is how it's going to be sometimes. But a long, crazy, whiny rant. I apologize if this sounds like I'm a little crybaby. Sometimes you just have to cry to the camera and whine, and maybe the run good will come. We'll see. If you guys made it this far, I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for basically being with me as I travel the country playing poker. And until next time, I'll see you.